te waka, kapanui te maunga wai, koe te awa. Rau o te rangi te moana, ko ka piti te motu, whakarongotai te marae, ko te Ātiawa, no runga i te rangi e.
O kia ora tātou, tēnā koe darling, tēnā koutou, kua tai mai, tai tinana mai i tēnei ata, i tikana te tukumihi atu ki te haukainga, ki ēnei whenua, no reira, nei rā mātou o te Ātiawa, i te iti, i te rahi e mihi ana ki a koutou i tēnei wā. Kia ora whānau, we're here to just sort of give a little bit of a kōrero on the journey that we've been on. We've just sort of exited. We're in the process of just exiting out of Waikanai Jobs for Nature, and all three of us that are standing here were able to sort of take some massive learnings and to be able to here to present. So, nei rā te mihi atu. We're just going to sort of touch on a few of our small highlights, I guess. We've got a short time frame, but and then we're going to focus on the hononga that we've been able to create with Mountains to the Sea. So our iwi is mai kukutawa ki paripari. It's just a small area. It's sort of, for those that know the bottom of the North Island, it's roughly Te Horo, just down from Otaki, all the way to sort of Paikakariki, Fisherman's Table. So that's our rohi that we hold jurisdiction or mana whenua in.
Te upoko tika, Maui.
Yeah.
We work very taka with Liz and the Wellington Mountains to the Sea team.
Cool.
Last night, Whaia Jane mentioned from the Wairarapa, Te Karu o Tika, the eye of the fish of Maui. So I was thinking that, you know, up in Waikanai, we might be the brains of the fish. Or the pineal gland, and Kapiti Motu might be the puta, I don't know.
And we're also known for being very humble. So I'm just going to talk about some of the mahi that we were able to achieve through Jobs for Nature. There's a puka puka back at the marae that illustrates and talks a lot more into that. And we're all happy to sit down and to sort of talk about that. Unfortunately, Jobs for Nature, we all knew was wrapping up. So ours is wrapped up. And on a real positive note, all three of us were able to gain employment directly back to our iwi. So we're on it. We're making plays, I suppose, and we're moving forward. We're quite a small iwi in numbers. We're quite a small iwi in whenua, but we all tie back to our beautiful whānau back in Taranaki. So we're not small at all when we look at us as a collective Taranaki whānui, top of the South Island, all of those things. But during our 4-year project, I was employed as education coordinator, and the first year was really easy because it was COVID, where there was no interaction with the tamariki, but it gave us time to sort of put a plan together about what we'd like to portray to our local tamariki. And there's a saying that's prevalent in a lot of our kōrero is ki o te ki tai, and for us it was about showing from the mountains to the sea some of the differences in our awa. So I was employed in that space, and there's a funny story. I went to one of the kura. I sent out bulk emails to all the kura, and most of them were saying, really cool, but we're in COVID. And I was like, okay, yep, I forgot about COVID. But one kura got back to me and says, I'm really keen, we're really keen. We're kind of over COVID. We've been sitting in this space. Our kids haven't been able to get out. We haven't been able to interact and all of those sorts of things. So I went to the kura and I bluffed them a little bit. I said, we're ready to go. We weren't. And then they bluffed back and says, how about 6 weeks? And I'm a bit of a yes person. So I just said, yep, we'll go with that. So we booked in dates 6 weeks later. And then I had to go do some pretty intense work to sort of get us over the line. Anyway, to me, that was a real bonus. We've heard and talked about how we need to bring our rangatahi, our tamariki, our mokopuna along for the journey. And what better way to do it was to bring them along for our job, through Jobs for Nature. And then I guess that sort of leads into how we met up with Mountains to Sea. That was very organic. We sort of just, somebody talked about this amazing person called Liz, And it's like, okay, well, can we meet up with this amazing person called Liz? And lo and behold, this amazing person called Liz turned up. And there's a bit of a funny context to that story. I was trying to, we talk often about te mana o te wai. That day it was te mana o te pai. We went to the bakery. I was like, yep, I'll shout. Here's a pie. And then I even went the extra little bit of manaki. Would you like another pie, Liz? And
He's always saying,
best money I've ever spent. Except maybe when I bought my darling a drink. But anyhow, that was a really nice pie, obviously. And our cards were on the table, so to speak. And Liz shared some of her visions and some of the mahi that she was doing. It aligned so beautifully. And I guess that's where our friendship and relationship and partnership sort of started, over a pie. And no better way to do it. It sounds like a bit of a joke, but I'm trying to be funny. But we sit down, we talk, we have a kai, we get to know each other, and here we are. So that was, like I said, money well spent. And then once we started talking, I got a real strong feeling off Liz that she was the right person, or they, Mountains to Sea, were the right people to come on board and to support me. At that time, it was just me in that space, and we sort of dodged a few bullets, health and safety wise, and numbers in the Y and all that sort of stuff, but we got there in the end. And anyway, Liz jumped on, brought her beautifulness and her taonga to the tepu, and without sort of getting too philosophical and thinking about that stuff, that really massively helped me. I was new to the game of conservation. I wasn't new to the space of wakanai, but I was new to this conservation game. So I really needed people that could sort of inject their mana and their mātauranga or their knowledge base into me. So Liz was pretty incredible. And anyway, we come up with all these ideas of what we wanted to do, where we wanted to go. And post that, Liz introduced some of her team. Liz came out with us and did some mahi with the various kura that we were working with. And then we got to meet the rest of, or some of the rest of her Wellington team. And again, it's very easy for me to sit up here and go, oh yeah, they're amazing, blah, 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 good pie, all of that sort of stuff. But without a shadow of a doubt, Liz was amazing. The next person we met was amazing. The next person we met was amazing. The next person we met was amazing. And I guess that's kind of the reason for me to come here, was to actually put that out on the table, to say that these people really, really helped support us. We're on a journey as a iwi. We've talked about how small we are and how sort of we're constricted with our whenua. But when you bring beautiful people to the table, it lifts you up and it makes you think, okay, yep, we might be on the right path to doing something really cool. There's heaps of videos out there from us that aren't up here about some of the mahi that we've done with the kura. We just wanted to sort of keep it waha. So I've got this amazing piece of paper.
Is there anything on it?
There is. I just got a pen at the back. Anyway, some of the cool mahi that Liz brought was her hinaki skills. We've been setting hinaki since day whatever. And you know, we always put kai in it to attract tuna. And Liz took us out the first day. She put it this big net. It was about here to the boats out there. And I was like, where's the bait? She goes, oh, no, we don't do that. And I was, sorry, Liz, I went home thinking, oh, wow, you don't know what she's doing. Anyway, we come back the next day full of inangas, full of galaxids, full of all this different stuff and tuna. And I was like, okay, yeah, no. Again, on to a bit of a winner there. So that was a massive learning for me. We also were able to, or one of the beautiful ideas that Liz brought to the tepu was a float. There's a few photos, oh there, perfect timing. There's a few photos of when we were able to take our tamariki, one of the kura that we were working with, on a float down our awa. And it was beautiful because we had worked with this group for sort of 2 to 3 years, going to these different spaces and places, and we'd done the learnings and all that sort of thing. And doing the float gave them a chance to see a different side of the awa. They actually got to cruise down it. It was a little bit of a shame that we only got to take 28. We had 90 keen kids, or 70, 80, whatever keen kids. So it was a start. And a massive mihi to you, Liz. That was a real taonga. Post that, we were able to offer that to our tamariki iwi. So our iwi kids got to do that after that. So those photos are all up there. Perfect timing again. It's almost like we worked this out. Another one was our Ōtarawa planting. So real quick. We were lucky enough to get given back, or not given back, a nursery. We created a nursery for our Jobs for Nature project, and we've got our awesome nursery manager here, Donna-Mari. But what was I going with that? We understood and we took over this whenua. Don't tell the local government that, but we took over this whenua and we wanted to create some positive change. And there was no forest, or there was a remnant forest, and there was all this open space. So we put together a planned community planting day. And again, we brought people like Liz, Ellie, who's not here this week, but Ellie was an absolute soldier. I'd be like, Ellie, could you get this done? Lo and behold, Ellie would get that done. So it was a really beautiful relationship, a partnership. So massive acknowledgements to Ellie and that. But basically, we were able to welcome in 150, 200 community members to our space, give them a little bit of a kōrero of where the vision is for where we're wanting to go, and show them the nursery, all that sort of stuff. That's the day there. Again, we're on. And just to reflect on, Jobs for Nature, was it good? Was it bad? There was a little bit of both. But for me, this is just my personal take on it. It's beautiful to hear the tamariki doing that stuff too, eh? That's part of the learning and the sharing, so hopefully you can understand that. But towards the end of our project, 2 kōtuku, 2 white herons, returned to our estuary. And I took that as a real strong sign, those tohu that our people talk about, that we're doing good mahi. They haven't been there for a long time, and to get sort of two in that short space of time sort of alludes to, yes, you're doing the mahi and you're doing it quite correct. We could easily get up here and say we did 400 hectares of planting, blah, blah, blah. We did all that stuff. But to me, the real highlight is seeing stuff like that. So that's...
Are we allowed to speak too? So I just want to say, our mātāpono, our values are so aligned, about our whenua and our tangata, and mountains to the sea and Jobs for Nature just helped bring our people home to Waikanai. We're still pre-settlement, so just having the numbers, and the awa float in January this year with our tamariki. So we've done them with the schools, but also with our babies and our rangatahi, our Whakarongotai babies. Just amazing, mountains to sea, rock up with all the wetsuits and all the resources we need. We've got a beautiful sized awa. I guess for safety wise, Tūtere was 6. And got to do the float. And for us to be in our awa and feel those new connections, like we actually, with the masks, being able to, it's called kanai to do with the eko, and they were swimming under us, it was just a whole new level of connection to our home. So, nui te mihi kia koutou, nā kai whakahaere hoki o te wā. Tēnā tātou.
Cool. And the last one, sorry, I've got a big mouth, and I thought they told me last night, oh, you just do all the talking, and that's kind of hasn't been changed in the morning. So I apologise for stealing that thing. But where to for the future? We actually wanted to show a little bit of a project that we've kickstarted through Jobs for Nature. Hopefully the computer's on my side again. If you could get how do we do this? Anyway, we've learnt about fish passage and the ability for fish to make that passage. Yeah, there we go. Beautiful. And we went to the hui in Wellington, and it was beautiful. It was awesome and good learnings. However, it was all plastic. It was plastic this, plastic that, plastic this. And I'd just seen that Otago University had done a study saying that there's microplastics in our ika. A lot of our fish that was caught, shipped over or eaten and consumed by our whānau had microplastics in it. So I just thought, okay, what's one small thing that we could do? I don't weave. I can't weave. But I took it back to our people, to Kristie and to her. So for me, that's a sign of that transferal of information. We took it back to our kuia, our old people, and they come up with an idea of how we could plat and plan and create something that was non-plastic. We eventually landed with the kōuka, and we have probably, in the last year, we're on a process of trialling these things instead of the spat rope plastic things that we put in the awa. So there's a kind of an example of one of them, but we are at the stage now where we've got about 8 in our awa with fish passage barriers. We've done the pre-electric fishing to see what's in there. There's not much ika in there, but there is an opportunity for us to go back shortly. And we were able to do that with one of the local kura. Crazy. You want to see kids get all excited. I tend to talk about kids, love it, oh, blah, blah, the matua, oh, yeah, he's awesome, blah, blah, blah. As soon as the tuna turns up, see you later, matua, we're going over there to the tuna. So this is a project, this is talking about the future. And for me, it's about weaving all those connections that we've talked about, the mountains to the sea, the local councils, our local communities, our local people, all coming together to weave and create a solution that can create sort of change, I suppose. And we're not there with the final product. We're quite a way away from that, I believe, but we've tried something. And whether it works or not is kind of beside the point to me. It's brought our old people to share kōrero with our young people. Us middle-aged people are there sitting in the middle, facilitating all that. That's what being a Kiwi is all about. So, hoi anō, nei rā te mihi atu kia koutou katoa. Engari he mihi tino nui tēnei kia koe Liz, kia koe Alice, Abby, Mary, Sam, Ellie,